The only way to achieve zero hunger in the world today is for the United Nations organization to stop giving people food to eat, people who are hungry. The only way out to achieve zero hunger is for the United Nations organization to use that money and create plantation and agricultural related industry in all the countries, all the 193 countries. The United Nations organization is spending a lot by giving people fish. They should start teaching people how to fish, and hunger will be eradicated. Yesterday, the Secretary General of the United Nations organization sent out a message on his Twitter page. He's saying that what? If we don't act now, over 600 million people will face hunger by 2030. And he went ahead to say that what? There is enough food in our world for everyone, but we must work together urgently to make a zero hunger world a reality. This is a very perfect statement, and this perfect statement is the reason why I am campaigning that the United Nations organization should be dissolved or restructured. The United Nations organization has failed humanity. United Nations organization was created in 1945 to help the world, to maintain peace and security, to promote the well-being of the people living here on earth. And since then, the United Nations has been the hope of the hopeless, has been the hope of the hungry people, has been the hope of the suffering people, has been the hope of the marginalized people. But yet, when all these people turn and cried and look up to the United Nations, all they always achieve is failure and failure and failure, disappointment upon disappointment. Because today, many people are living in hunger, in suffering, in misery. Yet, the only thing the United Nations is doing is to go and give them food today. They eat, and after some few hours, they are hungry again. I have written a letter to the United Nations organization through their email, telling them that they should stop giving people food. They should struggle by all possible means to locate all countries, all the 193 countries, and say, what can you produce best than any other country? For example, like here in Cyprus, they produce potatoes. Everywhere they can cultivate potatoes. The United Nations should take the money they are feeding people here in Cyprus with, then cultivate or create a plantation here in Cyprus. Plantation for the cultivation of potatoes. And then this plantation, they will also create agricultural related components in line with potatoes. And then when they will cultivate these potatoes, they will send it to other countries. This will also help to recruit many asylum seekers who are here in Cyprus unemployed. They go to countries like in the Eastern Europe where they cultivate grain. Now the whole world is suffering because of what is happening in Ukraine. But if United Nations was acting and went to that area, region, and say Russia can cultivate grain, Poland can cultivate grain, Belarus can cultivate grain, Ukraine can cultivate, and then they created plantation there, and all these countries are cultivating grain that they can supply. The whole world will not be leaning on Ukraine alone. And now that Ukraine is facing some kind of trouble, everybody has to go hungry. While there are other countries that can do that. And then the United Nations now, they have the money, but they don't have food to buy. Because Russia refused to go into that agreement. So I'm calling on the United Nations. If that organization will not be dissolved, because I don't have the power to dissolve. If I was having the power to dissolve, I could have dissolved the organization. But if they refuse to dissolve, the United Nations organization should locate all countries. For example, they can go to Cameroon and say, okay, Cameroon, you people produce nearly everything. Then they go to Ndok and say they produce rice. The land there can produce rice to feed the whole world. Okay, they say, okay, in Cameroon, with other parts in Nigeria and other parts in India and China that they produce rice. All of you, we are going to create plantation in all this locality. And then, instead for us to be feeding people, we will be harvesting our own food and then supplying and selling it to people who are hungry. This is the only way to eradicate hunger. You cannot give somebody food today and then you expect the person not to ask you for food tomorrow. But if you have your own, you are searching for a place to buy food. It is terrible. And this is the failure of the United Nations organization. And that one failure, these are the reasons why I am campaigning that the United Nations should be dissolved or it should be restructured. United Nations was created to prevent suffering, to prevent hunger, to prevent insecurity. But the United Nations now is acting like a humanitarian organization, curing hunger. You were not created to cure hunger. You were created to prevent hunger from happening. So look for ways to prevent hunger. And one of the best ways to prevent hunger is to create plantation, is to encourage cultivation. Not through the corrupt government. Because when I will say like this, the United Nations will carry money as they have been doing and send it to various governments and they will embezzle it and the world will still go hungry. Let there be plantation in all the countries. Name United Nations a plantation. Managed by the United Nations organization. People recruited there, paid by the United Nations organization. Food cultivated there, managed and controlled, distributed by the United Nations organization to the countries that are poor. Those who are there that they need food, if there is way to take them, they will gather them all and carry them to the plantation that you have created in their own country. Recruit them there. Let them be working in that plantation there. They are working and feeding themselves, receiving salary, and hunger will be eradicated. But you gather some group of people and say they are in refugee camp. And then there they remain there. They are liability to the whole world. Nearly more than half of the population here on earth are liability, depending on people to feed them. And only some few percentage are working. And those few percentage cannot work, produce, cultivate food that can feed nearly everybody in the world. All those who are liability. Remove them from refugee camps. Send them to create plantation and send them. Then let them be working there. These are people that are desperately in need of something to do. But the United Nations it kept them somewhere. They are prisoners. Liability. You go to United States of America, more than how many millions of people are in prison. And then they are all liability. They are not doing anything but they are eating every day. And you expect hunger to end by how? You go to Cameroon, you go to all other countries. Prisoners are there doing absolutely nothing. They are just eating, consuming without cultivating, without producing. Remove all those people. Send them and let them be working in plantation. Encourage government to create plantation where all prisoners will be employed and be working. Nobody should be a liability. If we keep on producing more lazy people, gathering people and keeping them in a particular place and they remain that liability, there is no way we can eradicate poverty, hunger on earth. Millions of asylum seekers in many countries are not working. The government said they should not work and the United Nations remain quiet. These people are liability. They have to eat and they must eat. They must eat. And who is to feed them? The United Nations organization and the asylum service. The United Nations organization has failed. And the only way out is for it to be abolished. And a new organization that can take care of human beings, can promote the well-being of human beings here on earth should be created. Or it should be restructured. If somebody can do something, let that person do something. Because human beings are gradually dying every day because of hunger. In 2015, this very United Nations organization, they gathered together in their General Assembly and they decided that, okay, we have taken a decision called the Sustainable Development Goal. How far? They were to eradicate poverty. the way to eradicate hunger, the way to eliminate insecurity. But from that day up to today, nearly all nations are having battle that are suffering, that are fighting. Either it is civil war or another nation invading another nation under the watchful eye of the United Nations organization. It is terrible. And then I keep on saying, this organization need to be dissolved or restructured. We have enough food for everyone here on earth. We have enough fertile land for everyone here on earth to cultivate whatsoever he or she want to eat. Yet, some group of individuals gather themselves, calling them the permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and they are the one manipulating nearly all the 8 billion people on earth. And they are using hunger, they are using poverty, they are using illiteracy, they are using insecurity as weapons so that they can trample upon the remaining human beings on earth. And they are doing it, succeeding in it. In the name of their United Nations organization, they are the hope for the hopeless. And every nation, every common man, turn every blessed day and look up to the United Nations organization. But today I'm telling you, if you look up to the United Nations organization, you will be part of that failure and you will fail in life. Hunger will deal with you. Poverty will damage you and insecurity will kill you. It is time we all join our hands together and say no to the United Nations organization. Let that organization be dissolved. The League of Nations was dissolved in 1945 because of failure. Because the League of Nations was not capable to prevent the Second World War. And then the United Nations has failed in nearly all aspects of life. But they refuse to dissolve it. It is time. And the time is now. We do not have wish to die because of hunger. We do not wish to die because of frustration. We do not wish to die because of marginalization. We do not wish to die because of insecurity. Then we have to act now. Join me by dropping your own comment. A day is coming that we are going to write at least 1 million appeal letter against the United Nations organization. If you are with me, join me. Thank you very much.